Welcome back everyone to my Let's Play of Final Fantasy II for the Nintendo Famicom system. Last episode we had entered the Dreadnaught and we were going to rescue Princess Hilda and Cid. We saw them right there in that jail. But before we get them, there's a little bit of treasures over here that we want to get. And we want to take out these enemies, the mines and the balloons. So, mines are, like I said, rank 6 according to the bestiary that I was looking at. But, yeah, too bad we can't encounter them on their own. That would really help out our weapon ranks. But that balloon pulls them down, so Booker will take care of the balloon, and then Maxine will take out one of the mines with the Fire Force spell, and then she'll finish off the other one with the Fire Force. So, yeah, you don't want to damage them, because if you damage them and don't defeat them in one round, then they do that self-destruct, and deals massive damage to you, so I guess it's a good way to get some hit point growth and maybe some stamina growth, but, well, we don't want them to maybe accidentally target Fess and knock him out, so it's a magical attack, but it factors in your physical defense, so, and we're not running around with any armor, so we are going to get a little piece of armor pretty soon, though, for Fess. It's a armor that increases agility. It's the Thief's Gauntlets. So they give plus 10 agility. So even though they weigh a little bit and they'll pull down his evasion, the plus 10 agility will give him more evasion. So I think, like, say, if it might, like, take away 3 points of his it might take like 7 points away from his evasion, but then he gets plus 10 to his agility, so it's really like only a loss of like 3 points. So, yeah, it'll be good, and that agility will help him go faster. So, and then, of course, since preemptive strikes are determined by Fess's agility, it'll be good to get him those Thieves' Gauntlets. So, eventually Maxine will also get the Thieves' Gauntlets, and Booker will get his agility increased by a certain type of robe. So, but Fess will end up getting a white robe, and Maxine will get a black robe. Sort of like the white and black shirts in Final Fantasy 1. So there's one for the white mage that gives spirit, one for the black mage that gives intelligence, and there's like a ninja garb that gives agility. So, alright, let's go get that last treasure chest, and then we'll go rescue Cid and the Princess. So there we go. There's the Thief's Gauntlets. Eventually they'll be available to buy in this town called Mysidia. So yeah, you see agility there was 25, I believe. Let's equip them on the hands. Ooh, and then we can go back, check out the stats. And, oh, agility was, I was looking at the stamina. Agility was 24, now it goes up to 34, so plus 10 agility, so. And we just have to press A in front of the gates and we break them open. Let's get out of here quickly. But, wow, there's enemies inside the jail. That's weird. You figure they would have maybe coded it so there was no enemies inside the jail. But, nope. So, let's take out that back row magician. Hopefully, Booker can take out that other magician. So, because they're the bad ones. When there's spells ain't that bad. I actually enjoy getting hit by the spells because it helps Maxine potentially gain some hit points. Because she's in the back row now, not getting targeted by physicals. And of course, every time we get hit by magic, it has a chance to have that bug that it gives Fess some spirit. That makes this white magic more powerful and more accurate. So, yeah, getting hit by the magic, not that bad. The damaging magic, I don't like to get hit by the status ailment magic, like the blinds and the poisons, because then Fess's Insuna spell is still pretty low and he's wielding the sword and shield. That means that he has a really low accuracy for those spells to hit, so yeah, there we go. That's the spell that we don't want to. And unfortunately, like I said, Booker it didn't take him out, so he rolled low on his damage rolls. So, but the wizard's taken care of now. So, We'll try to take off Fess's shield. That'll give him a little bit of, like I said, shield has that 70% penalty to magic. Later on in this dungeon, we're going to get a knife that'll basically function as a shield for Fess, and the knife only has a 5% penalty. So that way, if he doesn't have 2 empty slots, he can take up his sword, which has a 50% penalty. So that'll help nice. Now I've chained off the. I traded the ancient sword for the mithril sword because the ancient sword has the worst accuracy of all the swords that Booker has, and I was hoping that Booker would miss so that potentially Fess can, get that Insuna spell off and potentially heal himself so we can get, stats. But didn't work out that way, so I'm gonna have to just re-equip it here, and then heal the blindness from that he and Gordon are suffering from outside the menu here. But we get 2 points for doing it outside the menu here. Like I said, I could save some MP by doing a multi-target. I'll have for the airship with the princess. You find that engine and toss the sunfire. The Dreadnaught will blow up, and I'll have my airship ready to take off. And they run away. And once they run away, we can no longer leave the Dreadnaught. I'll show you what happens if you try to leave the Dreadnaught. But if you try to leave the Dreadnaught, the Dark Knight is there blocking the way. And he basically says, the princess escaped, so yeah, you're forced to complete this dungeon. So that's why we did a little bit of exploration earlier and got a few treasure chests and then went out and saved. So forgot to switch back Booker's mithril sword. He would have been able to take out that ghast. Hopefully that ghast does not use the blind spell on us. So, but yeah, I was saying sometimes I'll switch out Booker's thing if I hope to get an extra round of combat in. Because like I said, the ancient one has really bad accuracy. So, and but it has a little bit better accuracy than Gordon and his dark bow. But Gordon ain't really doing much damage even with a mithril bow. So I figure, might as well just give him the dark bow, because if he does hit with the dark bow, there's a chance that it blinds the enemy. So I'd rather just take that slight chance, because for the most part, like I said, Gordon ain't really much of a damage dealer. He could be if we had like a better bow, but yeah, you get a better, stronger bow with the dark bow, but it has such terrible accuracy that the mithril bow is probably better to keep. But we'll take that chance that he may hit something and blind it, and that'll make life a little bit easier on us. So cut the accuracy. We do have a really strong another level 5 monster later on. It's in the treasure chest. It guards the treasure. So, but knock on wood that when we do get that monster, that it's by itself. So unfortunately, it could sometimes appear with lower ranked monsters, and that of course will bring down the overall rank of that encounter down to the lowest monster rank. So we'll talk about that monster later when we get to it. We probably won't get to it in this episode because it's pretty deep into the Dreadnaught. So yeah, we're probably gonna need 2 more episodes to finish off the Dreadnaught. Like I said, it's a pretty big dungeon. It is a kind of a difficulty spike, because 1, it's a large dungeon. 2, you have a lot of these enemies that have status effects, between the blinds, the poisons, so you're not going to be gaining a lot of stats. So even if you haven't been raising stats up to this point, you're probably going to get a lot of stats because you're fighting some tougher monsters, a lot of level 3 monsters, so you'll be gaining some decent stats if you haven't been raising them, but you won't be gaining those stats if you're poisoned or blinded at the end of the battles. So yeah, if you're that's why it's important that we were trying to raise up that Insuna spell, because at level 2 in battle is when it can cure both poison and darkness. Outside of battle, you don't even need to have it because it automatically will do a level 1 darkness and then level 2 poison on its own, because it's your level +1 outside of battle, but inside battle you need to have it at least level 2 for this dungeon. So, like I said, we'll eventually want to get that up to its max level of, well, its max level will be 16, but 7 is the last time it does status effects. But if we can get to about like level 8, then we have like a little bit of a buffer, so. Because you can have it at level 7, but if only if it hits like the 7 times will it cure the KO status. So it always pays to have maybe, you know, a little rank above or two, you know, so if it misses 1 time, it's not necessarily the end of the world. So what the end of the world is all these blindings, these gas use. I hate these enemies. So let's take off our shield, because that's the one that gives the biggest penalty. So let's go for a multi-target. Yeah, that'll cut down the accuracy of the spell, but yeah, maybe we might get lucky and it'll cure one of our characters. So we'll see how it goes. If not, well, I guess he'll get a good chance to gain a bunch of points outside of battle. So yeah, not expecting too much here, because like I said, multi-targeting cuts down the effectiveness of it. And he's still taking a 50% penalty with the because he has the sword equipped. So like I said, once we get rid of the shield with that knife, then we can switch the sword out when we need to cast the thing, so we don't have to be suffering a -5 penalty. So theoretically, you could, if you want, have, your white mage just specialize in knives or canes, because they have a low magic penalty too. But the problem is, you're not getting this special knife that increases evasion, like a shield, until this point. So all the chance to raise evasion, you'd miss out on it up to this point. So. Knives by themselves aren't very damaging weapons, so you wouldn't be able to do a lot of damage between things. So, and eventually, like I said, we'll end up getting a sword. Like the best sword in the game has no magic penalty to it, the Masmiun. So Fess will have that. Now it has 50 more attack power than the second best sword in the game, the Excalibur, which Booker will end up getting. So here's the Dark Knight. Yeah, the princess ran off. He blocks us, and but really it's more like only 30, because the Excalibur is strong against all enemies, so it gives an automatic +20 to your attack. But that's end game level stuff. So, but preparing for the end game, it's kind of important, so, because if you didn't have a plan going into this game, or just like picking up every weapon that you saw and using it, it's not necessarily the best for getting through the game. So for instance, we're going to find a pretty good spear later on, but since you haven't trained anybody in spears, yeah, it might be strong, but we'd only get 1 hit out of it. So it would deal probably less damage. We'd be much less accurate with it than just having a weaker sword and hitting multiple times with it. So, but spears are a pretty good weapon. My first playthrough I did of this, my white mage Fess there, he actually was a sword, spear and shield wielder. So. And then Maxine had the knives, but knives, whatchamacallit, the magic penalty is more important for like accuracy with your white mage than with your black mage, because if you're targeting an elemental weakness, it basically doesn't even worry about the accuracy. So. Yes, the way the game is coded, so if you're going after a weakness, the game's automatically basically going to let you hit the enemy. So if you have like all 4 elemental spells, you know, as long as the enemy has a weakness, you know, that penalty isn't going to bother you as much. So it's not necessarily as important to have your knives on your black mage. So I guess they can get away with a bow in the back row, even though bow has a really bad, you know, 70% penalty. Bows are a pretty good weapon, and we'll see that once we start getting the elemental bows. You can just switch bows in and out. Cause I like how Booker has the different swords. Eventually you get all the different elemental bows, and you can start attacking weaknesses. So bows are a nice weapon to have. Unfortunately, like I said, you don't really get good bows until like after this dungeon. So that's the problem with axes too. You know, you get those mithril axes pretty early, and you don't get anything else really, like, you know, for a good chunk of the game. So like I said, that's where spears were kind of nice, because we're going to get a nice spear here. We'll end up getting, you know, we had the were cane there if you had somebody training canes, but then unfortunately you get the good canes, good spears in the middle of the game, but then toward the end of the game they slow down. So a lot of planning if you want to be successful in this game. I wonder if my mic picked up my dog Spartacus's little sneeze there. He's on my lap getting petted here, so I'm not gonna add any insightful commentary though, because he's a dog. He's probably like, Dad, what are you doing? Oh, he's mad. He's mad because he had a cookie in his eye. So, why are you getting mad when I take the cookies out of your eyes, Spartacus? Are you trying to hoard your cookies? He's a little mad at me because I had to change his food up. He's getting old. He's almost 16 years old. And whatchamacallit, he's starting to, his kidneys are, you know, slowing down a little bit. So he's beginning the kidney decline. And so the vet put him on a special diet. Low protein diet, so I had to get a special kidney type food for him, and he's not the biggest fan of it because he's been eating this Purina food for so long, for years, so probably for at least like maybe 4 or 5 years. The Purina Bright Mind was for older dogs, so because obviously he's an older dog and it's supposed to help him with his brain function. So although his brain, he's getting very forgetful. He used to do agility, and he hadn't done agility in like 3 years because you know, COVID hit, and even before COVID hit, there was the government shutdown, and I was, you know, a government employee, so, you know, I just had to monitor my money. You know, I was like, well, I can't be affording to take the agility classes, you know, and if I don't know if a paycheck's coming in or not. So I stopped, and then, you know, by the time, you know, everything sorted itself out, you know, then COVID hit. So it was like, you know, a good 3 years since he had agility courses, because I went to a dog event, Bogtoberfest, this past October of 2022, and there was a little agility course set up, and he didn't seem to remember anything. He didn't want to run through the tunnels. He didn't want to go up the ramps, and that was always his favorite thing to do, was do the little ramp and the bridge. So he was a little scared of the tunnel at first because he's a very clingy dog, but it was really neat how they got him to get over it. The handler would hold him on one end of the tunnel, and I would go to the other end of the tunnel, and then he would crawl through the tunnel to get to me. And then, you know, eventually we made the tunnel longer, so he'd be in the tunnel longer. We'd stretch it out, and then eventually, you know, if you watch agility, you know, competitions, the tunnel often turns, makes like a little C shape. So then once he got used to going through the tunnel, then we, you know, slowly added the C-shaped turn to it, and then he just got used to, you know, running through the tunnel. So it's pretty neat. One thing he never picked up on how to do though was going through the tire jump. He'd jump over the little jumps. They were so cute when he had to go to the little jumps because they set it to like his shoulder height, so they were like really tiny. But the tire jump he never got he never wanted to jump through the tire. Even though, you know, they set the tire to the lowest, that it was basically sitting on the ground. He'd always just, because the tire's oval, so there was and the frame that was holding it up, there's always that little crack on the left and the right, and he would just crawl through that little hole. So, yeah, he didn't want to jump through the tire. I guess he was afraid he might get caught in it or something, because there was a little bit of a distance. You know, what's a tire? Maybe like 6, 7, 8 inches, maybe, width-wise. So, but I don't know. Who knows what was going on in his mind? But I know what's going on in his mind right now. He's just happy to be getting attention paid to him. He's like, Dad, why do you have to go to work? Actually, I think my dog, he loves work. Because the only time I ever take him to work is for Coast Guard Day. And I'm a vegetarian, so there's not meat in my house, you know, than his dog food. But at Coast Guard Day, you know, they have like barbecue, they have hot dogs. So he gets to go to the Coast Guard Day, walk around the base, sniff the deer, sniff the squirrels, and get hot dogs. So I'm like, come on, Spartacus, we're going to the base. I'm going to where Daddy works. He gets all excited. And then there's a train ride. He gets to go on this train. A little kiddie train that goes around the whole base, and you know, he just loves it. So, but yeah, so he probably thinks like, Dad, why are you so upset about going to work? Work is like the greatest thing ever. But he doesn't understand that it's not all fun and games for me at work, Spartacus, unlike you. But, yeah, we're having some. Hope you're having some fun with this game as I play through it here. So, haven't really talked too much about it this episode because, hey, there's not much really else going on. Everything's pretty self-explanatory here. Like I said, we're just going through. Want to avoid talking to any of those captains because, unlike the one that we defeated, that I showed you defeating, you know, these guys, they don't have a prompt. As soon as you talk with them, they already know you're a rebel. They're like, Rebel Cur! And then they get into a fight. Which makes you wonder, if they already know we're rebels, why aren't they attacking us on sight? You know? Especially since they're allied with these monsters. You'd think they'd see us, like, fighting their allied monsters and be like, you know, uh-oh, we better get those rebels, but I don't know. Who knows what they're thinking? Just like how I don't know what Spartacus is thinking. But I know what I'm thinking right now. I'm thinking, I hope you come back to my next episode, and we continue on this trek through the Dreadnaught. Take care, have a good day. Bye.